let's see. Yeah. Everyone get your own books to plug. No. Can't even say. So we're in the middle of getting, oh yeah, okay, hang on a second. Is that, no. Oh. Oh, see, it's live. So we're in the middle of getting, I guess we're live. All right. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, but we've got to turn the sound down.
That's how that works.
Oh, is it?
Okay, wait.
You can just mute YouTube. So.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to turn it off because I don't need it
Internet
on.
connections are not
Quick,
like
unbox something.
instant.
Unbox something.
No.
Can you
I
hear
just
us, Kim?
requested permission to record, just in case,
Oh.
so I have it on my end.
Good.
Is it now asking you to record?
No, I think I initiated that, and I think it's asking you because it's the proper thing to do.
Well, I'm not getting, it says to me, when I press record on my end, it says, please request record permission from the meeting host.
Wait, you know what? That's because we're not recording yet. For some reason, we're streaming live on YouTube, but no, let me help. We're streaming. All right, wait. Do I hit play? Oh, now we're recording. Do you
Great.
just sign that says recording? Okay, so we're recording.
Oh, perfect.
But I don't know if everything's ready. I have to make a couple announcements. Hang on. Sorry.
It's awesome. We're doing it. I'm just like, the fact that this is happening, already an achievement.
I hope let's see. Thank you. Man, tech is so weird and hard. Okay. Okay, I'm going to shut down some links. I'm going to shut even that down, shut down. Don't think we need that. Are we still, can somebody go? No, not you, Emma. Should we just trust that we're on YouTube and everything's fine? Really?
Yeah.
Trust it.
It looks like it's fine. I mean, it says live on YouTube on my screen.
Oh, it does. Okay, that's a good sign. Okay, well then heck with it. Oh, hecko, as they say in Eloise. We'll try and remember. Full screen. Oh wait, we were also gonna go, do we need to be on the projector? I was gonna do that, but we're all gathered around. I'm sorry, tech makes me a little hyper and I'm making everybody annoyed. So,
How many students are there right there? 6, 5?
Plus me, I just litter around, right? So there's 8 of us here today.
8.
so
Cool. Hi.
So should we officially start?
Let's start, yeah.
Okay, so all right, so welcome. What do you say? Welcome internet. Hello YouTube. Hello.
Hello, internet.
Okay. Look, it says borrow me. All right. So hello internet. We are Skyping or interviewing or something with Kim Krans, who did Blossoms and Bones, and it turned up on our doorstep a few months ago, and it was astonishing. And I loaned it to a lot of you, and I said, you have to read this and you have to return it. You don't lose it. Both of those. And it's about to come out March something.
March 3rd. A couple weeks.
I'm not holding it up. And it's so powerful and wonderful and stunning. And I think we even won a convert. We'll talk about that in a few. And I don't even know where to start. Does anyone want to start? It's such an astonishing book. Have you been doing a lot of Q&As? Because I'll try and ask questions that you haven't been asking.
I have been doing a lot of Q&As, but honestly, Tom, I'm so excited to talk about it with you and your students because you're in the art realm. You're people who draw and have that love for line and image and process. And so a lot of the Q&As I've done have been around the content of the book, which I'm happy to talk about too, but they've been more oriented around like, recovery, eating disorders, addiction, self-image, all of these kinds of things, which are also a part of the book. But like, it's hard to kind of remind people like this was drawn. The whole thing is born out of creativity. The whole thing owes itself to like the creative force and also the potential of the creative force to like help us heal and help us like tell our story in a way that's super, that we can connect to each other rather than staying isolated. So I'm like, yes, I get to talk with some artists, that are really into like the nitty gritty of actual, how did this book come to be from that point of view. So I'm really excited because I also have to say that Rosalie Lightning, your book, Tom, I read, probably like 5 years ago. Did it come out 5 years ago? 4 or 5?
I think it came out in 2013.
Yeah, okay. So I probably read it like the following year. And I remember where I was sitting when I read it. It was like a one sitting. I was at the Oregon coast, and it was the kind of book like I get like chills when I think about it. It's like I didn't realize that one could make a book like that. Like the permission you granted other artists within dealing with that content, the kind of heaviness of that content and bringing it to life through image. I was like, oh shit, I can actually do so much more with my art than I thought I could. So that's also why I'm stoked to talk to you, because we both have these books in common. It's like, I don't take that lightly. That book means a lot to me. And everyone listening, if you don't know Tom Hart's work, go order Rosalie Lightning, because it's a game changer. Pretty freaking devastating. If you think Blossoms and Bones is devastating, yoinks. There could be some like YouTube like voting, ballot system where people like vote which book is more devastating.
I'll get the Mutual Admiration Society part out of it. When I read this book, I posted it in a graphic memoir group I'm in, and I'm like, you guys, this book came out and it changes everything, and I just want to steal it, and I want to go back and start everything I've ever done over again and do it this way. So thank you. What? That's true. Please.
Do you want to describe
Do
what
you?
the story is and what the process is?
Does me or Kim?
Either, which one?
Well, it seems somebody should, and Kim's done, and I don't know how much talking you've done, or if you want to hear a weird take on it and then correct me or something. But
Go for it.
well, I mean, the astonishing thing is just how, I want to go back a little to like, it's such the power, as you said, the power of the creative act propels you to this place of healing and understanding in a mere 30 days or something, right? 30, I think. And so, yeah, so for those of you out there who don't know this, and I'll try to find the beginning, probably in the beginning, where Kim tries to talk herself into or out of a real despair starting on April 15th, tax day. And over and over again, I don't know how many pages per day you drew or if there was a page limit or something, but you just sort of followed the thread of the drawing. And there's there's clearly a lot of words and a lot of list making. And even there's a point where, and so these characters emerge, these skeletons, these little tiny little circle characters, and these other symbols emerge. I'm telling Kim like she doesn't know. And slowly this dialogue takes place. It's a spirit's dialogue trying to align itself with the healing powers of the universe. It's just so glorious. And there's a lot of chatter from the mind that is bothersome, but there's also a lot of wisdom in these like little word balloons that are sort of prodding her to go a little bit deeper when really she doesn't want to go. And it's just such an astonishing book, and there's so many places it goes. And yes, and I definitely want to talk about drawing, because like, since you've said, I think there's a page I had marked over here, since you said a lot of people are talking about the content, which of course is amazing too, what those types of people are talking about, right? Non-artists are probably not talking about, oh, hecko, where did it go? I've been reading a lot of Eloise, so I say, oh, hecko a lot. Oh, there we go. So there's this really powerful page when you write this letter to the quote psychic springs, and people probably get really interested in this letter, which is really remarkable and beautiful, but there's a million lines all around it, which probably took longer to create than even the lines or the letters and the words. And like, there's so much power in creating what do I want to say? I mean, you're creating spaces, for yourself to have these experiences, and you're creating those spaces by making marks on the paper, and you're creating, oh, it's just so wonderful. So, I mean, so that's the intro, right? You asked me to make an intro. I guess that's it. I want to say also one thing to me that wound up being remarkable, and I don't know how intentional it was. It clearly became intentional, and maybe it was right from the beginning. But you involve us as part of like an audience of people conducting prayers with you, and especially when you have us turn the page over and over again. Let's see if we can find one. I definitely believe often that like, don't make a reader turn the page. What are you doing? That's like just sloppy or something. But then when you get here and the reader is forced or maybe just asked to sort of make this ritualistic movement and then go back and then keep the story forward, it's so beautiful and it's so powerful and it changes the reading experience in a way I've never seen before. Anyway, so there's so many remarkable things, and I hope that was an okay intro. And I also want to put this somewhere where it's not going to block a face. Where can I put it? Is that okay there? Yeah, there. Okay. Now it doesn't even show up, but okay. Would you like to comment? Is there anything that you would like to comment on, any of you guys?
I think just saying also, like, you know, the book was made without any concept that it was going to be a book. It was made in the succinct period of time while at an ashram and kind of letting the rest of my life fall apart in the outside world. And the first few days I sat down to draw because I literally did not know what else to do. The addiction that we're referring to here is the eating disorder that got really exacerbated after a fair amount of like grief and loss in the last 2 years of my life prior to this moment where I sit down and write the book. And so I basically, like, I don't know who to turn to anymore. Like, the doctors all say I'll be fine soon. The therapist says I'll be fine soon. My friends say, no one was like taking the pain serious. And I knew I was going down this path that like the bottom looked really, it's devastating. I'm like, where is this going to end? What's the bottom actually going to be? And the only thing that's really been there for me, this is kind of like a crazy statement to make, but the thing I've always turned to is drawing. It's like where I can find space to move into and be curious instead of being devastated. Like the artist is so cool because they can take their pain and they can, instead of being under it, they're drawing it. They're looking at it, they're studying it, they're curious about it. So it's this like flip of the script that like is a super Jedi move. And no one really talks about this in art making or in any of the art schools that I went to. It's like, it's the observer, the witness consciousness that they talk about in spirituality. It's like, instead of being the anger, you're drawing the anger. So you're kind of like, you're engaging with it and you're a master of it and you're kind of like making friends with it and you're a little scared of it still. But like, that's what happened when I sat down. I was like, oh, I'll draw this feeling for like 30 days. And if I had had just some blank pieces of paper, I would have drawn 30 drawings. Like, thankfully I had limited resources. I'm at this ashram, there's no art stores, right? So I had this blank book with me. And I thought, well, I'll just start on this page because whatever, I don't know what else to do. And then by like day 2, 3, I was like, oh shit, this is going to be like a book. It just keeps going. There's more and more and more to study. It's not like a single, I thought like, oh, it'd be a cool show, like of these kind of eating disorder drawings. There'll be 30 of them. And the more I started to engage with this thing, it was like Pandora's box of all Pandora's boxes, which it still is, as like the sequel is now like outpouring from the vault. And I just had to like let it go, let it keep. It's almost like the way purging and binging and eating disorders and addiction has a kind of momentum to it. Like, some people talk about it as the frequency of addiction. It's just like you're in the throes of compulsive behavior. It's like the book had its own compulsion, but it was aimed towards healing and aimed towards like revealing these kind of cool images that could I mean, I use cool in kind of like a superficial way, but like images that could help me move forward and actually like feel okay, even if they're devastating. They were helping me be able to like cope. So long answer to your question, but yeah, the beginning wasn't planned. So when those prayers started to come in the book, and it was like, oh, you have to turn the book vertically for the prayers, none of that was like prayed. It was more, or sorry, none of that was planned. It was more strategy of like, well, this freaking book is such a mess. If there's going to be a prayer, we're going to have to pivot the book, because otherwise there's already so much going on that it needs to distinguish itself. But I was like, whoa, that's cool. That's a cool technique. Like, I honestly felt like this wasn't me like making these cool strategic design moves. You know, it was like some other force that was propelling itself forward.
Well, the art of channeling is a learned art. You know, you can learn it.
How do you learn it? What's your technique?
Oh, I was gonna ask you.
Oh.
No, I mean, seriously. No, this is, I mean, is it, I mean, it feels like a channeled book. I don't want to say that in a glib way, but what you're describing is like just letting the source flow through you. If you're in practice and you've got some history and routines and a little bit of clarity, you can do it. And
I think that one can do it. And so much of my training as an artist, just drawing almost every day since I was 15, like helped me be prepared for that task. And without like my ego riding on it in a way that would get in the way of the work. And there's moments in the book where I struggle with that. Like, I'm going to tell this really catchy story about this skeleton, and like, oh shit, I'm bailing on the project, which is to stay with these really tender feelings that are shameful and embarrassing. So I had to like pivot back and forth between the artist and author that wants to like tell this really great story, and then this person that has like a kind of really tender is the only word for it. Like, it needs tender care. It needs time and attention. And there was another thought I had about this idea of channeling art. I just graduated from a like depth psychology and creativity program, which actually helped me manage the content of this book a lot. Just studying the creative force and archetypes and different voices, and a kind of Jungian, like Carl Jung's approach to creativity and healing.
we love and hate Jung here. Actually, mostly love.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Oh, great. You guys are, you get it. So one of my teachers there, she had this great quote that said, if it's personal enough, if you dig enough into the personal, it always becomes collective.
Mhm.
So a lot of us are like, we want to reach a bunch of people, but we want to do it through these broad general strokes. But she's saying, and this was so helpful for me while writing this, if I go enough fearlessly into my story, honestly, truthfully, with an earnest, open heart, it will blast open. And I think this is what some people refer to as like channeling. It blasts into the into the collective. So it's like, it's not about me and my addiction. Hopefully it's about our addictions and our traumas and our grief at some level, so that it can be more than just about, you know, me at this time at this ashram with these drawings. That's the bigger force. That's like when drawing gets like super, you kind of have to like bow down to it and like, holy shit, what is this? And I was doing that this whole process. I was like, oh my God, my prayer in the morning was like, just let me not get too involved with myself, to not be able to let what needs to come through. Super humbling. I mean, it's like, it's overwhelming in its power.
That's amazing.
I don't mean the book is overwhelming in its power. I mean,
it's okay.
when someone's interfacing with that force, you're like, whoa, this is the longest period of time that I interfaced with it. You know, it comes and goes. You can't like be with that every day all the time. It's like
on a press junket, right?
yeah, it's like it's too much.
Yeah.
But this was the longest sustained project that I felt that, and it was otherworldly.
Wow. I have a couple of questions I want to ask, but do you want to ask a question, Mara? I'm going to turn the camera every once in a while, if that's okay.
Oh, great. Hi.
I really loved your book.
Thank you.
My question is related to what you're talking about, but all of the times that you kind of keep telling yourself to come back and draw the feeling, I'm just really interested in how you get started. If you want to like sit down and draw the feeling, like I feel like I don't know where to start with that necessarily. So just interested in what you have to say about that.
It's a great question. Tell me your name.
Mara.
Mara. Thanks, Mara, for asking it. It's one of the main threads of the book. Draw the feeling, draw the feeling, draw the feeling, because we want to jump away from that. I do as an author and artist. I'm like, oh, well, I'll just draw this really cool thing because now the book is getting impressive. I'll just like, guess what else I can draw, guys? Like, let me flex my, you know, there's this constant desire to impress and perform. And then there's the humble moment of drawing the feeling. So drawing the feeling was like, it's that annoying moment when a teacher or a therapist or a friend is like, can you close your eyes and breathe into that feeling? And you're like, oh, I want to keep talking about it, actually. No, how about you close your eyes and you breathe into the feeling in your body? And that's what it came from, was like sitting down with the book open. I put down my pens and I would be like, okay, what is this feeling? And sometimes I would just do like 3 breaths. Sometimes I would do 10 minutes and then I would draw. And sometimes it would be like, you know, I was meditating a lot during this period because I was at this ashram, and every morning it was 45 minutes or so of sitting in the shrine. So then that also became a place to kind of work with the breath and study, draw the feeling almost internally, letting some of those images come out. It's the first time I really ever did this, like draw the feeling practice. And I'm excited to develop it into something moving forward, because it's surprising in its wisdom. Like if you look at that very first drawing with or maybe it's the second drawing of the skeletons like all tied up, and it's like, well, what's this and what's that? Yeah, there's a lot of it's in that page, but it might be if you flip 2 pages. Yeah, that one. But really this page.
Yeah.
If you look at this page, basically everything that's going to reveal itself in the book is in this drawing. The hidden characters, the flowers, the bones, the hole, the pressure. I think the little creatures that don't have names. So it's interesting to think like that the thing we draw when we sit with that feeling actually has like so much intelligence in it. And that's like also kind of a Jungian idea that what's buried in us has so much wisdom.
Like when you start actually like putting your pen to the paper, did you already have an image in your mind through the
No, it's literally like sinking into the feeling, putting the pen on the page and moving the pen with the feeling. It's almost like letting your hand be the driver. And I'm telling you, that sounds really easy and one could start doing it. And in 5 seconds, the ego and the intellect is then drawing an amazing thing again. But it's incredibly embarrassing and awkward. And so a lot of those first drawings, it was like shameful for me to even make them because they felt so ugly and so yucky, because they actually they have the energy of the feeling that's inside, like the body and the heart and the mind. So it's like, it's really hard to let oneself go there. That's why I think I'd like to do something around it eventually, like some classes or supportive like way that people can actually do this as a practice, because it's really powerful. But one needs a support, like having a drawing practice helps, and also doing it with other people and kind of being able to reflect on it helps. But it works also with, you know, kind of ecstasy or love or like positive, you know, what we call like positive emotions too. Yeah, I hope that is a helpful answer. You can do it with any material at any time, on an airplane, on, you know, anywhere. The real trick is to let the ego sit aside for a second, be like, something else is going to draw. I know, Mara, hey, Mara, I know you can draw really well. This is you speaking to you. I know you can draw really well. In a second, you can draw a really amazing thing that will impress everyone. You can put on Instagram. But for 15 minutes, you're going to draw the feeling of the pressure of Instagram, of the pressure of being an artist, of the expectations and the confusion of what it is like to be life on earth right now as an artist. And you draw that, and it's very liberating, super powerful.
Yeah, draw the feeling of the pressure of Instagram is a great exercise. We're
Yeah.
definitely doing that okay, we're gonna put that down.
Yeah, exactly. And you could draw the feeling of fill in the blank, really put anything there.
Yeah,
You know,
pressure
like,
of, and then put that.
yeah, the pressure of, or the excitement of like becoming like whatever, a new mom or a first date or anything. It's really helpful.
Oh man, the pressure of Instagram.
I can't wait to see your drawing, Tom. I can hear it. There's something to be found there.
Yeah, you know, yeah, I'm in a weird state because I don't like my drawing supplies anymore.
Mm.
You know, like, I mean, I do, like, I draw in ink really slowly and I love it, but it's not fast enough anymore for something's changing inside rapidly and I need to change, and I haven't figured it out yet. But enough about me.
No, well, it's interesting because right before, you know, change in material is a big deal. And right before this book, I was in India. I was in silence in India for about 3 weeks. And I didn't have my art supplies. I just had this, one sec, let me grab this book. So Blossoms and Bones was made in these simple black sketchbooks. And this is all I had in India. And I was used to making drawings on different things, like much bigger paper. So I had this book and I wasn't speaking. And so I just started drawing like way more because
Wow.
the energy had to go like somewhere. So I was like, fuck, I don't know. I'm not chit chatting all day. So I guess I'll just be drawing. So when I was in India, I filled a whole book with like a ton of drawings and lecture notes from the classes I was taking there. And that I did not know was preparation to make Blossoms and Bones. And because I started thinking about like, you know, all sorts of image-oriented devices that happen in a graphic novel, like where does the page turn? How does the gutter act in this? Sorry, everything's upside down in this. But like, how does the gutter affect this drawing, and what happens with the tension in the narrative? And then you flip and you release, or you're surprised by the next page. And so then when I was at the ashram and had this feeling and started writing in the book that I had, I was prepared for a new material and a new format of bookmaking. Wow. So I think anytime we shift those materials or like especially when we limit ourselves, something cool happens. Like, I think a lot of times artists, I find, get stuck with like too many options. It's like, what about this paper? And what about that ink and this thing? And you end up like buying stuff online rather than making art. You know, like if I wasn't at the ashram, I would have spent that first afternoon, rather than drawing the feeling, I would have been at the art store. What do I need? What's the best palette for this? You know, what kind of inks like are people using these days? And limitation is so cool.
What kind of inks are people using these days?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there's no color in this book was like really helpful. I could stay with the thing. There's so many ways we can like get derailed and like not make art. It's crazy.
Again, it comes from practice, though. I mean, you've been drawing, as you said, from age 15. So sometimes you know what your options are, and other times you know it's time to remove some, right?
Right. Or
when you're being distracted by the art store, or you know, or you're giving yourself too many options. It's
right, exactly. Like the less is more message of the book is like pretty strong, because I mean, I struggle with less is more. It's like, maybe I need to do this kind of art, or, you know, have these kinds of options. It's like the art that's moved me the most has often come from limitation. I mean, like the most powerful example to me is like Anne Frank's
wow.
Diary of Anne Frank. Talk about limitation.
I never think of that as a piece of art from limitations, but certainly, my God.
It is. Everything about it is like this compressed, terrifying energy force that's pushing her into one. She's hiding. She's not even speaking. It's pretty silent. Like they're having a pretty quiet time back there as they hide during the Holocaust. And she just has this book that she's writing. And so all those factors of pressure are contributing to the way that she's writing. And it changes the content of the book. If she was like out playing in the sun, I mean, she got to have like a break, you know, every week or something, it would be an entirely different book. But the fact that she's the only music she is hearing for 2 years in hiding are the church bells down the block. The only books she's reading are what people are like confiscating and getting to her. So everything becomes really potent and heightened, instead of this, like the moment we're in right now, we have access to like everything. We can buy whatever art supplies we want. We can do whatever, go wherever, see whatever. And it's a dispersed type of energy, you know? So we have to be really careful, like what we're paying attention to and how we can not be distracted.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not wishing those circumstances upon anybody, but you know, I studied Anne Frank a lot in my grad program, and I went to the house she hid in for a few consecutive days and just stood in that room and was like, okay, what is this space? What kind of energy is here that allowed her to make this book in the midst of all of that pain? Because it's remarkable. I mean, if you really study what she did, it's unbelievable to me.
Wow. I mean, I haven't thought about that book in ever in that way.
Oh my God. I got really obsessed with her a couple years ago and went on like an Anne Frank pilgrimage and spent some time in the house where she wrote the book, and then went to the concentration camp where she died. And I think about her a lot. It's remarkable to me. There's no words really.
Was she, what am I trying to say? Did she make a diary before she was in hiding? Was she a writer?
She was writing a lot before she went in hiding, but she was also obsessed with language and books and Shakespeare, and like she's like this 10-year-old who's like into The Tempest, and like
Oh.
I mean she was like so deep in there. So like her references and stuff, if you go there and you look at the books that she was reading, oh man, it's like she just had a love of language and a love of like theater and plays, and that all contributed, I think, to her having enough reverence for the book, for writing and books in general, that she could sit down and keep writing. And I think that there has to be that reverence, and that's part of practice too. When we practice, when we draw, and anytime we sit down, you're building that reverent relationship to art making. And I mean, I made Blossoms and Bones because in the end, I'm like, I love drawing. I love books and I love stories, and the stories that people have written that have helped me through, time since I was a little kid. Like I have reverence for them. So I think, we can make art, we should be making art, so to speak, but like we also interfacing with art that's like super potent is a practice in and of itself. So like finding your books that are like the books or the paintings or whatever it is, and like, I don't know, building a relationship, building stronger relationships with them, I think is like totally underutilized practice. We can actually ride off the energy of those artists.
Would you think reading books like that in those spaces puts you in the same space that making them does?
Exactly. And what is a practice that I did every morning while writing this book, which I haven't really talked about it at all, but I think since we're on the topic is worth doing. I was also reading Black Elk Speaks quite obsessively for the last few years. And I read the first chapter of that book aloud and recorded myself reading it about 3 months before I started to make this book. And I listened to it every morning. I listened. So while writing this, I was getting up. What's that?
Listen to yourself reading it.
Yeah, because it's exactly what you were referring to. What's your name in the glasses?
Hi, Tor. Tor. T-O-R.
T-O-L?
T-O-R. Tor.
T-O-R. Tor. Amazing. Nice to meet you. What you were implying is I found to be totally true. Like when we're engaging with those books or those powerful works of art, you're getting empowered by them, and you can use then repetition to further that. So I was listening to myself reading the first chapter of Black Elk Speaks as a way to know, I mean, that book is so powerful. And the first chapter, he begins it with this idea of like, how can I tell my story in a way that it's more than, yes, it's about more than just myself. That's the prayer of the first chapter. And so just repeating that over and over and hearing yourself do it is like, you get like a supercharged vitamin, an artistic vitamin. Yes?
So in that sense, would you say like for a lot of the text that you put in Blossoms and Bones, were you careful with the words that you put? Because like I know that whenever I'm creating and I want to like evoke how a certain book or something made me feel, I have to be very conscious of it and like think, why was it that way, and try and like alter my own word choices and such.
Well, this is a really great question. It's that precarious territory where if you start thinking too much about what you're quote unquote trying to do, the whole thing falls apart. So I had to simply use the words from Black Elk Speak to build trust. That was the strategy. Build trust and don't be afraid. Yeah, exactly. So that whatever thoughts were coming up that I felt like had to go in the book, I wasn't putting them through a filter of like, is this okay to write? And will people understand what I mean? It was just like, what appears goes in the book. That's a rule. That was my rule while making this. And including some of those drawings, like, you know, the addict or miscarriage that are like freaking devastating. I never thought I would draw them in a million years. When they came up and I saw them in all of their detail, I knew my job, if I was going to do, you know, or try to stand in the lineage of people trying to write books that can help people, such as someone like Black Elk and Frank, then I have to show the F up and like draw the devastating thing that was revealed to me in the shrine. And so that gave me courage and trust to be like, oh my God, this is so weird and awkward and terrifying. And like, I don't even know what the F is happening, but I'm going to draw miscarriage. I'm going to draw the balloons that say like, it's a boy, it's a girl. I'm going to draw her crown. And in a way, it's like honoring her for a moment instead of repressing her and shaming her. It's like portraiture honors. That's an inherent dynamic of portraiture, is saying, I'm going to pay attention to you long enough to draw you in your essence. It's actually beautiful formality. It's a beautiful practice and lineage of portrait making. And so thinking about, you know, kind of embracing her long enough visually to draw her felt so much better than holding her inside me without knowing it and being ashamed. Because like miscarriage is in our culture. She's everywhere. It's like there's so much pressure around, you know, the feminine expectations around the feminine and birth and motherhood, and there's just so much pressure. And once I saw her, I was like, oh, you know, this is about me, and it's kind of about like what woman, what mother, you know, literal or not, doesn't have some response to this image. Yeah, I guess we should show that image.
Yeah, I'm digging it up too if you want, but you
Okay.
probably find it more easily. Oh, we got it here.
Yeah, it's pretty. Oh yeah, there she is. Yeah, I really was like, seriously, Kim, you're gonna draw the biohazardous waste bucket underneath her?
Yeah.
It was like, that's what she has underneath her. She needs the bucket.
That page right before it is amazing too, with the skeleton coming up to that character. It's really profound. I want to pull that up too really fast.
The addict?
No. Literally the page before. So here's that page, this here. God, that's beautiful. And that
Yeah.
sorrow in the way that skeleton is drawn. And of course, this is just complete disarray, and there's so much raw energy in that skeleton there, which is manifested here, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and to go back to this idea of drawing the feeling or the technique of drawing this book, like this is my first graphic novel. Like I don't usually even draw this way. So to draw this skeleton approaching this, I was like, how do I draw it? How long are the legs? And like, what's her head like? I don't typically draw from like my imagination this much. So I had to, like, it was very goofy, but I found that if I put in my body the feeling that she would have, like, oh, that, and held that while I was drawing, it actually worked. And I would do that when I was drawing both and the little yin yang symbols. And I wanted them to have a certain expression. I would actually like hold that expression in my face or the feeling in my mind and then let the pen express it. I didn't know what else to do. I'm not like a practiced cartoonist or illustrator in that typical sense where they know like, oh, if you put the eyes close together or the mouth is this big, then this certain phenomenon of expression happened. I'm like, I don't know. I just do the best I can, holding the feeling of anxiety or happiness in my body.
Yeah, what you're talking about is a much deeper version of something that is actually very prevalent. And most cartoonists I know, when they're drawing like, oh, I have to draw like anxious, they're like, you know, I have to draw happy. You know, it really does happen, and most people do it. Do you do it? Yeah. But
it is deliberate as well. You know, like you're trying to draw a body and you hold the shape of it yourself.
Yeah.
I suppose sometimes it's a bit of, I feel like it's a bit of both. Yeah.
See it like you're like, oh, I'm hunching my shoulders, what this looks like.
It's hard to draw. Like it's hard to draw powerful when you're like this, right? If you're drawing powerful, you're like this. Things like that. Emma, you had a question, right?
I did have a question about you said whatever appears like will end up in the book, and that like speaks a lot to those like 30 or it ended up being 40 days that you were drawing. What does that mean for the production of the book? Because this becomes like a physical object, and there were editors that looked at this. So there were like people in the process after it was yours. Did things get cut out, or is this honestly like the pages from your notebook that you drew at that time?
Oh, this is honestly the pages from the notebook. This is a really good question. And there's a longer story to this that eventually I'll talk about, but like 98%, let's say, is just the thing that existed during that time. Most of the edits, that 2% is like almost all spelling and grammar, which I was just like, guys, are you kidding? Like, you know how like if you're gonna fix grammar and it's an image file, like you're doing it in Photoshop, is a total nightmare. I'm like, this stuff, we have to leave it. It's not to be fixed, you know, leave it. And that was really hard. And the editors, you know, at Harper, I'm very thankful for the way that they approached it. The whole thing was out of the box in terms of, I mean, this is basically a nightmare project for an editor. And thankfully they supported it. However, there's more to be told about that question. I'm going to leave it at that for now. But there's nothing that was shaped afterwards in terms of let's make this story come together in this way. And the editor says, I think the skeleton should do this or that. None of it. There, you know, there's like this moment in the end of the book where Elka is given the book of names. And I'm like, guys, I don't know. She's given the book of names. There's no like explanation for it. And there was no conversation about like, well, that doesn't make sense. And like, you know, we really want to know if Sunny and Elka are like partners, or are they brother and sister? Are they lovers? Is that your ex-husband? None of that. They really let the dreamlike quality, the surreal quality of the book just be, which is so rare, and I'm so grateful for.
It definitely made it better. It keeps it within what it's meant. Yeah, that's.
It made it better for me too. In a lot of ways, it took the pressure off and just like letting the narrative be. And again, it's like about trusting. Now I know why the Book of Names is in there. You know, working on the sequel, I'm like, oh, I get it, but I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't like a planned thing. I'm like, thank God I drew that. Like, it's like one of the main things in the second book is.
Oh, wow.
Right.
What's
that?
You foreshadowed for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the idea of the intelligence of the drawing, intelligence of creativity. It foreshadows. there's this really cool word. Oh my God, I'm going to drop some knowledge from my Jungian program. There's this idea that I didn't discover. I bet my teacher said it, but I didn't really look at this concept till my 4th year, that art is teleological.
Whoa.
This word is so cool. And my teacher just dropped it. Like, she was going through a lecture and she just said it offhand. And I'm like, wait a second, can we talk about this for a minute? What does that mean? And she said, oh, it's this concept that teleological art that is, again, personal enough that it taps into the collective, is future telling. It tells the future, it tells culture where it's going. It's aimed, it can see into the future the way that our intellect can't. In a way that marketing teams can't, and whatever strategists, social media strategists, and someone saying, what would be really popular, Kim, is if you wrote a graphic novel that's blah-de-blah. And I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds fun. So, but this came from creativity itself, and therefore is like ahead of the cultural curve in terms of trends or where people are going or what conversations are happening around whatever addiction. And so what you're saying is a micro version of that. The idea is, if we're really paying attention to that feeling, that creative feeling, and letting it draw, it will tell us where it wants to go. We aren't telling it where to go. We're kind of mitigating. We're like, can we work out a deal where, like, you promise to lead me somewhere if I follow you?
Right.
But yeah, that it is smarter than us. That's the idea.
That makes sense. That's, yeah.
It's trippy. I mean, this gets into like a whole, consciousness question and spirituality question. But if one wants to go there, it's like, to me, the coolest place to be with art making. The idea that the book is making me. This book made me. I didn't make it. It put me back together. I didn't put it together. That's like a really cool flip of the script. And you could say that when someone's like making a pot, they're throwing a pot or in ceramics or whatever. It's like, I'm making a pot. And the alchemists or some depth psychologists or trippy people might say, and I'm in this camp, especially now, that the pot is making me. It's shaping me, shaping my consciousness, helping me. It's not me in command.
One of my favorite quotes when I was a kid, I was really into this very embarrassing harpist named Andreas Vollenweider. Do you know him?
Amazing. No, but I love that name, and I'm going to look it up.
Oh yeah. But one thing he said was he modified his harp. He had this beautiful electric harp, but he modified it with some slight amplification and things like that. And he said, I have modified the harp and it has modified me. And it was so simple, and it stuck with me at age 16. And I think about it all the time. And
it's so cool. It's a huge script flip that changes everything, changes the power dynamic of art making. It's so cool. And again, it in making that script flip, you bow down to it in a way. You have more reverence for it instead of like, I'm the artist in my studio and I know. Basically, at this point, I'm just like, I don't know, but I'm willing to like show up and draw and try.
do you know the author David Milch, who wrote the TV show Deadwood?
I know Deadwood.
He says, I don't write outlines. They say, how do you outline this thing? He says, I don't write outlines. I pray first.
Oh yeah,
On
exactly.
that show, which is like about violence and blood and everything, he just says, you just pray first and then write it.
Yeah.
What?
I have a question.
One more question from Emma.
Yes.
A lot of what you've been talking about is like a self-awareness and like kind of more like it's something that might be aligned with daily practice, not just art. And I think that relates a lot to the book that you've made here. How does that relate to your other art practice? Because you like you described before, you've made artwork before now, and like you have the wild unknown. How does this like philosophy of art making apply to things outside of this book, like for you?
Well,
mostly with the consciousness that a lot of people don't approach their art making in that way. Like they're not necessarily approaching art as like a therapeutic tool or like a way of resolving emotions. Like a lot of people, they're approaching art as like a means of like their livelihood. Like it's going to be a part of like their everyday, but not necessarily in a spiritual way. So for you, how does that translate?
Yeah, it's a good question, because with this project, they started to reflect each other in a much more like heightened way. I mean to say, like my practice, my constant like questioning of spirituality and consciousness and that type of study started to reflect back at the actual art much more than they had in the past. But I think it's mostly about having enough energy and power to be an artist. That's the question for me. So if art making is over here and we think we can just go from like the chaos of life, all the expectations, all the pressures, all the shit, and go make art, you know, put the kids to sleep, pay the bills, and then from like 9 to 11 p.m. you're gonna go make art. And like, really, good luck. There's so many things set up against, just speaking frankly, against us to be able to get to that in terms of distraction and in terms of the actual energy we have in our body and our mind, confidence, trust, stoke, resources, any resources. So in order to get here, I have found you have to go here, which is practice and study both of the physical body, the breath, reading inspiring things, looking at other art, in order to have enough energy to get here. So it's like, it's discouraging to think like, well, I actually just need to get here. And now you're making it complicated because I also have to add this. Not only do I have to add art making to my day, I have to add a freaking practice. But yeah, like a 5-minute breath practice or a 5-minute, like something that gets you stoked enough to do this is the saving grace. So I think it's about building the triangle. There's life of logistics and all the shit. There's art, and then there's how are we going to get to the art? And we need energy. It's actually like a math, it's an equation. We need energy, which happens even in the group that you're gathering in this class. You get energy from each other, from the conversation, from talking about it. That's another big piece. Like in any spiritual practice, it's called Sangha. It's like the group. And one of my teachers says, like, everything else will fail. So just do Sangha. So just like stay in the class or take the course or do the study program or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it's the third thing that's usually missing. So now I have a more heightened, I guess to try to answer your question, I don't even know if I did actually, but that third thing has just gotten more and more important to me. And I hold on to it knowing that if I do this, this will happen and I'll be more clear about it.
Do you think the creating of Blossoms and Bones, I'm going to hold up your own triangle to you. Do you think the creating of it was one of those rare instances, where's the triangle? There it is, where you were kind of like all three were sitting there at the same time in the same place? Do you know what I mean? Like the art and the practice and the life was all condensed in that area.
Yeah, they were in like some sort of, it's almost like, you know, when you're a kid, and this is terrible, but there's like, if you're gonna like take a magnifying glass and like burn a crayfish or something in the sun.
Yeah, where's this going?
It's like, you know what I'm saying? The magnifying glass like heats up the thing.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like those three things that are usually pivoting around kind of in an okay balance. Because of the trauma and the grief, the magnifying glass came out and they all like burned together for a little bit. And they were really pressure and stress and grief, all those are ingredients in the petri dish of creativity. You know, you could look at like any art project, what's in the petri dish of this art project. And this just had like the right amount of grief that I wasn't overtaken by it. I was still able to basically hold my pen.
I have a question that's like a little bit not related, but like, you know, I really want to know.
Yeah.
So all the spots like that are filled with black, you did those like yourself, like by hand, like with a pen and whatnot. Did you do that when you were in the middle of drawing your feelings? Like, cause some of them are like very big areas. So like, would you say that like interrupted like the image or like the feeling that you were doing, or like were you able to maintain it through making all the black spots, or did you save it for afterwards?
Yeah, this is a good question because it goes back to that idea of like, when are you actually breaking from the promise of staying with the feeling? Yeah, so a drawing like that Tom was just holding up, I drew like the central image, the flower, the pointillism, the words. I made sure to get everything out that was essential. So no decisions could be made like in another state. In like from an editor's point of view. And then some of the stuff I would be like, okay, I know I have to Sharpie this in later. Okay. So like a page like, well, actually a page like this, you must dig. It has all this black line, but I'm drawing pretty fast. Like I'm using like a thicker pen and it was going pretty quickly, but I just also like, I was drawing an incredible amount of hours during the day. Like I basically wasn't really sleeping. I would do my 6 hours of karma yoga. I would draw at night until 1, 2, up at 5, meditate from 7 to 10, draw, then do karma yoga. It was like this freaking wheel that was perfect for me because it helped me get out of my addiction. I mean, one of the like early recovery tools is like you go to a meeting every day for 30 days. And this was like an interesting, I've never even thought about that, but like an interesting substitution for like going to a meeting was like drawing for the first 30 days.
Is a meeting with yourself.
What's that?
Is a meeting with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I was at my meetings. But yeah, it's a way to jam pack the 24 hours so that nothing too sketchy can happen.
Wow. We won't make the sketch pun.
Oh yeah, the sketchy pun is so.
No, I'm gonna make it.
Nicely done. Nicely caught, Tom.
No. I feel like this is the best hour on YouTube ever. And I'm also kind of just moved and overwhelmed that I have nothing else to say. But I want to allow anybody here or yourself to say something if you want. Do you know that book Zen Mind? What is it? Zen Mind, Zen Bones? I can't remember which monk from the 70s wrote it, but somewhere in there it says, what is the proper thing to say after a session of Zazen? It says the proper thing to say is, let's have a cup of tea, because there's nothing else to say, you know? And I don't know, I feel that way right now, but that's also because I'm not very good with words sometimes. So I don't have anything else to say is what I'm saying. The book is so profound, and I know, so now I'm not gonna go on. And, well, it's not gonna be new, it's gonna be a recap, yeah. And the way that you've spoken about it is such a gift, and I want to thank you. Do you guys want to ask anything while we've got her for a moment or two longer?
No, I just found it so exciting hearing someone talk about like practice, because I think for me that's a thing when I'm talking to people that is so hard to describe, that like it isn't the outcome, it is figuring out how you do it every day and how it becomes lived. And it was really nice to hear you talk about it. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a really big missing piece in art school, and it's a missing piece of the conversation of creativity and artists and how to sustain. You know, I guess I'll end with this, Tom, is like, in the end, after writing this book, the page that really haunted me the most is this, is the graveyard scene.
With
And
all the celebrities, like on 126, Diane Arbus and Van Gogh and things like that.
yeah, they're all the artists. It's basically artists who have, like, you know, committed suicide and overdosed, and we lost them early through some tragic means. And I think that this page is a result of the lack of the conversation that you were referring to. It's Emma, right? It's as artists, if the task is to go into the depths of culture and our world and the psyche and kind of work with the contents of the world, even in terms of math, or you're just thinking about leverage on like a lever, if this is expected to go super far down into deep thoughts, then something has to be supporting it. If it doesn't, of course you get buried under the weight. Sylvia Plath, what's she gonna do? I mean, she's just like, oh my God, if she doesn't have enough support to sustain her to deep dive. Now, some people say, well, artists are so superficial these days. And I would say, as they should be, because if they don't have enough support to go deeper, then please stay here. Let's not judge people for staying here. Let them be. When they're ready to go deeper, they will go deeper because they sense it's safe to go deeper. And in order to be safe to go deeper, we need the practices that strengthen us as a community, as individuals. And that requires like admitting that we need support, first of all, which artists don't do because they want to be that like epic, you know, artist in the studio. I just can handle it by myself. And it's like, at this point, I'm like, I want to build all the support I can so that I can go down here and make it back up for air consistently and live, you know, live a peaceful life while understanding and having compassion for the discordance in myself and the world that's debilitating at times. But I don't want to be debilitated by it so much that I can't create the work. So is this like big leverage question?
That's something that struck me at the beginning when you were talking about, like, it was kind of like a transfer of energy, the energy that was going into it, like addiction, and like was then being transferred into recovery through art. Like you were talking about channeling, and to me they seem like the same energy. One is just unsustainable and is like a mechanism that doesn't serve you. The other is one where like you have a certain level of like control over art making, of the decision to be there, like to come to the page, and like is more sustainable, is more accessible, and doesn't harm you, hopefully, in the same way that other things do, say binging and restricting.
Yeah, I think this is, to me, this is the conversation I want to have moving forward, this exact question and study of what helps us allow to be really brave soldiers of creativity and compassion. Like what helps strengthen us. That's where I feel I'm aimed. And this book helped me get there. Like before, you know, making the tarot cards and having interesting conversations with people. But this is the first part where it's interesting to think of like the pain actually put me in a really precise place in terms of conversation, where now I'm like, oh, I know what I'm not I know what I'm doing, but like I have more purpose behind the things that I'm making and why I'm making it than I ever have before. And why is that? It's because the pain actually, it lined me right up at the precise doorway.
Yeah.
which is also interesting to think about. How does that happen? You know, again, like you have reverence. Now I'm like, thank God that this happened, instead of like trying to pretend it wasn't happening. Because now I feel like I can sit like in this room and have this conversation with like a younger generation about the relationship between creativity and personal practice and strength. Thank you. It's so inspiring. I'm very grateful.
Yeah,
Send me some drawings. I want to see what you guys make. I'm like, send me a little pic or something and make a doodle.
Send us your email. We'll send you the anthology we did this last semester.
Oh, cool.
Actually, not that it was like directly inspired by your book, but like following reading your book and another one that's like not quite the same, but it's like a collection of drawings. I was doing the same thing. I was like in a book writing, like, but I was addressing it to a friend, like creating like a letter kind of format, like providing like restrictions to it. But the same thing about materials. Like after reading this, I was like, okay, I should just be like using a ballpoint pen. It shouldn't be like precious enough.
Well, I can't wait to see. Send me things, all the things.
Kim, this was fabulous. I'm gonna try and not just go cry. I mean, like it's just really beautiful. And I'm gonna try and,
I just want to also thank you for your work again, and just remind anyone, go get Rosalie Lightning and get, sit down, get some tea, get some tissues, call a friend afterwards, but read Rosalie Lightning.
Thanks, Kim. Thank you so much. I got nothing to say. And usually people would hold the book up again and say, everyone get Kim's book. It's really fabulous.
Thank you.
And let us know how we can help. If you need us to like shout on rooftops more about this.
Okay. Well, this is a great start. And let's meet again for the sequel.
Okay. Oh my God.
Done.
All right, let's sign off. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
I have no idea how to stop this. Does anyone know?
Perfect.
Okay.
Bye.
Oh, live.